What does family mean to you? It's not uncommon to hear about children being raised by more than one set of parents, but sometimes children aren't raised by humans at all. Sometimes they're raised by animals. All with different circumstances, there are kids who were raised by wild animals and some by some house pets. The cases of children being raised by animals are fascinating. Could the wild children adapt back to society, or would they have permanent mental scars? Let's take a trip around the world searching for true stories of children that were raised by animals. And for some extra fun, find our mascot Ned hiding throughout the video. The Ukrainian Dog Girl. Dogs are loyal, friendly, and intelligent. Once they come into our lives, they become true members of the family. As members of the family, could they be responsible for raising a human? In the Ukraine, a girl was left to the sole care of her canine companions. Just like the dogs, she was left in the dog's kennel without being allowed to go outside for 5 years of her entire life. Dogs being the only loved ones she knew, she learned their behavior, and by the age of 8, she was finally rescued. She did not know how to interact with humans or even speak. Her only communication was with barks and growls, and she moved around in her hands and knees. Luckily, she did eventually learn to speak despite having cognitive impairments. Monkey Marina. What if reality is better than a movie? We think how strange is that it's happening. Marina Chapman's early life was something out of a movie plot. Deep in the Colombian jungle, Marina was kidnapped for ransom and eventually was abandoned. Capuchin monkeys, without any human in sight, decided to take care of the child. She became just like them. The monkeys even taught her how to catch small prey in the jungle. Finally, some people found her in the jungle, but yet sold her off to a place of ill repute. Because of monkeys being her family for so long, Mariana did not speak any Spanish. When she was a teenager, she found the opportunity to escape from her plight. Arriving in Bogota, the capital, things took a turn for the best. A nice family took her in and protected her. She became the nanny to the children. Once they got a little older, she was trusted to take them to England, where she met the love of her life. She got married and had children of her own. Her story became a bestseller's book, and her life had indeed a very happy ending. Tippi Degre. Picture yourself, one with nature, living with animals. Tippi Degre is a French girl that grew up in the African bush. Her parents were photographers and documented most of her experiences with the animals. The little girl rode on the backs of elephants and ostriches. She cuddled up with young cheetahs, and her playmates were meerkats. She lived as one with the animals that were around her, and her parents made sure the entire thing was safe and an enriching experience for their daughter. The animals she grew up with were orphan animals that were used to human interaction. Tippi received a childhood most of us will only dream about. Cambodian Jungle Queen. Cambodia. One fateful day, a little girl disappeared without a trace. While herding water buffaloes, 8-year-old Rochom never made it back home. Almost 2 decades had passed and hope was totally lost. In 2007, while exploring the jungle, a police officer spotted a girl, and finally she was taken from the wilderness that had engulfed her. She couldn't speak, but used hand signals to communicate basic needs like hunger. Coming back to the village was hard for the girl, and adapting to social life was a challenge. But how did the family knew it was her? A scar. The rescuer recognized a scar she had on her arm from when she was a child. The policeman who rescued her coincidentally rescued his own child. Bello the Chimp Boy. Parents are supposed to be our protectors. They should guard us and love us, right? For some, love may be conditional if they fit the norm. In poorer regions of the world, caring for a child is a challenge, and even more so if the child requires professional help. In Nigeria, A baby boy named Bello was born with physical and mental disabilities. He became another unfortunate statistic. Born into a nomadic group called the Fulani, the parents left the boy behind, but animals can be kinder than humans. Chimpanzees took him and raised him instead, without seeing any limitation the boy might have. In 1996, he was rescued by social workers at the age of 2, and his movements were that of a chimpanzee. While he did become calmer as time passed, he still had chimpanzee's tendencies. Bello did not make it into adulthood, but he did bring awareness about disabilities and child rearing. The Andes Goat Boy. Children play all kinds of games, and imitating animals is one of them. South America, high up in the Andean mountains, one boy wasn't just pretending to be an animal. He believed he was an animal. Nobody really knows the origins of the boy, but it is said that he was raised by goats. He walked on all fours everywhere he went. Surrounded only by goats for 8 years, the Indian boy survived from their milk and foraging for things like berries. The boy could not communicate with humans. However, he could communicate with goats. Eventually, a U.S. university ended up studying and investigating the boy's behavior and adaptation to society. Fish Boy. Childhood is a time of learning and discovery. Older generations played outside and with toys. Now, children play indoors. One kid had the best playground of all. In Indonesia, a little boy named Enal had a totally different experience than most. Born in a fishing community, Enal learned more from sea animals instead of going to school. His fishing community spends most of the year out at sea on a ship, and Enal's friends were wild animals, and the teacher was the ocean itself. How many children can actually say their playmates are sharks? Not many, I'm guessing. Enal plays with sharks and other marine life frequently. It's a big part of his culture and how he was raised. Marcos Rodriguez Pantoja. Do you prefer wilderness over society? Maybe you prefer to be among the mountains and the animals. Marcos Rodriguez Pantoja also prefers living with nature. When he was a boy, his dad sold him to a farmer. Among the goats, he lived with the older man, tending to a goat herd until the farmer passed away. At that point, Marcos chose to live by himself in the mountains. His only companions were goats, snakes, and wolves. When he was eventually found, he was unsure of how to act and behave in society. He didn't even know how to eat from a bowl properly. He did learn to communicate with others, though. That's when he started telling his story. He told of tales of friendship with snakes and wolves. They were unbelievable tales. Now, in his old age, he still prefers the safety of the wild and continues loving his connection to nature. Hadara, the Bird King. Getting lost is scary. Who do you call? Parents often warn children to stay close. Despite the warning, sometimes children do get separated from their parents. The Sahara Desert, a vast land covered only by sand and the occasional oasis. While crossing the arid land, Hadara got separated from his parents. Thinking the worst, his parents moved on. But who would have thought that he would have survived? Ostriches took the toddler in and helped him out. 10 years later, a wanderer crossing the desert saw the child and took him back to society. The kid adapted easily back to the human world, but never forgot his feathered friends. He now has children of his own, and his story will forever be printed into history in books and documentaries. Child Cub. Your favorite food may be warm, delicious pasta, or it could be something sweet and salty. Whatever it is, it's probably not anything too wild. One man's favorite food is grass. Naga Baba practically grew up eating it. Paharish, northeastern India. 22-year-old Naga Baba tells about his early memories being fed by a tiger who took pity on him and nursed him. As he grew older, deer became his friends, where he discovered his favorite dish, grass. A Raja, a monarch in India, found him and took him in 1946. The kind Raja noticed his enthusiasm for grass and decided to award him a large plot of land. Nagababa's only job was to keep animals away while he ate the grass. That seems to keep him happier than people. When people did try to talk to him, he usually didn't respond. Natasha Mikhailova. Taking a day off is so nice. Chilling around the house is so relaxing. But that's just a single day. Siberia. Natasha Mikhailova was a little girl when police discovered her locked inside an apartment. Cats and dogs were her only companions. Learning the animals' behaviors, she only communicated with grunts and barks. Like a dog or cat, she ate food using only her tongue. Social services worked really hard, making sure that she adapted back to a normal life. It will take some time for Natasha to adapt, but she will have to learn to trust humans. Ivan Mishukov. Do you fight or flight when you're scared? For many, we choose to flight. Ivan Mishukov, by the age of 4, chose to flee from his nightmare. The toddler was living in an abusive home, and he was so scared to stay that he chose to leave the dangerous, violent situation. He was gone for 2 years before he was rediscovered. During his 2 years away, he lived with a pack of stray dogs. They had their own system. While Ivan begged for food and gave some to the dogs then would protect him and keep him warm when it was cold. When police finally retrieved him, he was barking. He was brought to a rehabilitation center and now lives a normal life. Chhaidy. Forests and jungles can seem like an exciting place for us. There's plenty of wildlife and interesting new sights to see. For Chhaidy, a little Indian girl, the jungle of Myanmar became her home after she got lost. Her parents searched for her relentlessly but could not find her. In the forest, Chhaidy and her cousin were playing around, but a terrible storm flooded the area. Her cousin was found the next day. Almost 40 years had passed when there was a rumor about a woman living in the jungle. It turned out to be the long-lost Chhaidy. A woman in Myanmar had initially discovered Chhaidy in a cemetery and gave her shelter. Now, back in India, she lives with her parents. She knows only a few words, but she seems to enjoy life now. In rare cases, children are not raised by humans. They are instead graciously raised by animals. It seems that animals have a big heart and sometimes can raise children even better than some humans. Remember to click the bell icon after you subscribe so you can get instant notifications of all our new videos.